More luxury vehicles seized by the Customs Department. We've got the details, so stay tuned.
Coming up in the Bahamas Tonight, the shocking discovery BEC officials make while checking one of their sites on Carmichael Road. The story straight ahead.
And in sports, lots of volleyball action taking place last night with the ladies on the floor. The Bahamas Tonight starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Another discovery of high-end vehicles being made by the Customs Department, this time on the streets. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Altaviz Munnings.
And I'm Charisma Robinson. A press conference was held today with top senior and police officials who tells us tonight that an ongoing investigation is underway with more cars expected to be seized. Janae Noel Ferguson reports.
Customs officers are not being ruled out from a police investigation on undocumented high-end vehicles believed to be stolen out of the United States and smuggled into the Bahamas. A joint operation between police and the Customs Department over the weekend resulted in the seizure of a Mercedes-Benz, a Chevy Impala, and a Buick Regal. Customs Controller Charles Turner sent this warning to potential buyers of high-end cars.
Individuals should check with Customs Department in order to determine if the vehicle was stolen and the proper customs duty without being paid. The police department can also be contacted in order to determine if the vehicle would have been stolen.
He stressed that stolen vehicles would not be returned as the owners of these vehicles are not local. Police Superintendent Stephen Dean notes that there are several persons of interest that are being pursued.
So it's an open investigation, not specifically the custom officers, police officers, it could be anybody. And what is happening now, and I think what is important here now, based on what we are seeing, we know the network is going on, so we are targeting persons. So even persons who we confiscate vehicles from, they are assisting us with investigations. It's not an investigation where someone can say, let's go right here and we find a Peter. But the police have our eyes on some people, along with customs. And when the timing is right, we don't want to give them too much information, what we're dealing with. But there are some people we are targeting.
Now, the Customs Controller says he does not believe that those driving those vehicles when they were confiscated knew that the vehicles were stolen or that no duty was paid on those vehicles. He says investigations into these matters are ongoing.
We would have seized the vehicles, we would have known the owners of the vehicles. At this time, we are not certain that those owners of the vehicles were involved in the smuggling of the vehicles. We believe that they were victims of circumstances.
Several weeks ago, the Customs Department also uncovered a number of luxury cars along with electronics and ammunition worth more than $200,000. Edward Lang was charged in connection with that discovery. The businessman pleaded not guilty to the charges and was granted bail. Meanwhile, Turner says it is unclear if this recent discovery is connected to that case. Most disturbing is that authorities are still unsure of when those vehicles entered the country. Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
Well, the head of the Customs Department is responding to that ZNS News report, pinpointing a prominent resident as the owner of one of those luxury vehicles seized last month.
Our Cleopatra Murphy has that story.
Customs Controller Charles Turner says that 2013 Porsche Cayenne hybrid SUV confiscated last month does not belong to Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation Chairman Robert Myers. The car was one of 3 luxury vehicles seized last month. During a press conference today, Turner responded to a ZNS News report that identified Myers, also the co-chair of the Coalition for Responsible Taxation, as the vehicle's owner. Prior to the airing of that ZNS News story on the matter Wednesday, Turner had no comments on the issue. Myers himself never denied ownership of the vehicle, telling ZNS News only that the matter had been resolved. Turner also denied having met with Myers after inside sources told us Turner met with Myers and had his matter expedited.
I would say this to you. I never met Mr. Myers. I don't know Mr. Myers. I would have spoken to Mr. Myers on 2 occasions by telephone. I can also say to you that Mr. Myers was not the owner of the vehicle in question. I can say to you that as controller of customs, I am satisfied with how that matter was dealt with. I am satisfied with the value and the fines that was initiated.
ZNS News has documents with the signature of one Lisa Myers Feynman, believed to be a relative of Robert Myers. The documents suggest that the two may have attempted to defraud customs of $22,000 after making a false declaration on the 2013 Porsche that they claim was valued at $49,000. The true value of the vehicle purchased at Porsche of Colorado Springs was a larger $71,028.73. We also reported that clothing and groceries worth up to $4,000 in the car's trunk were undeclared. As for Turner denying the details of that report, our source maintains that Myers paid the fine on the vehicle and, by the department's standards, therefore claimed ownership. Turner said the Porsche is in the hands of the owner, but when questioned about the status of the undervalued Mercedes seized at the same time, he said the matter is still under investigation. He would not say how the two matters differed. Our source says under normal circumstances, Myers, who had 4 violations, would have automatically forfeited the vehicle and faced fines up to $40,000 due to the scale of the attempt to defraud and other charges. The car would have been put up for auction. The source also claims that the rich and white receive favorable treatment at customs, and the handling of this matter has many officers upset. Turner called those claims ludicrous. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
BC officials investigating a breach at one of its oil tanks in southwestern New Providence. They made a discovery around 4:30 this morning, also finding a significant leak due to equipment damage. Keisha Adderley has details from officials about what their investigation has revealed and how they'll proceed from here.
It was a discovery they weren't expecting when they went to investigate what was happening at their Carmichael Road tank. But an investigation into a gas leak revealed a much more significant breach.
We discovered that the manhole that weighs a few hundred pounds,
500 pounds,
a few hundred pounds, was actually removed, and the locks that we had secured in this manhole to secure the valves were actually removed and replaced by another chain and lock.
So new locks and chains that you did not place, they were actually placed on this manhole.
A non-BEC lock.
What they went to the site to investigate was a break in one of the pipes in a secluded area off Carmichael Road, part of an extensive network which originates at Clifton Pier.
We were alerted that there was a breach in the Clifton Pier Blue Hills fuel line, and a team from Fuels and Performance came out here to mobilize. And when we came, we discovered that the line was indeed breached and fuel was on the immediate area. We immediately proceeded to take corrective measures to mitigate against the breach.
Crews went to work isolating the breach and absorbing the oil, preparing to discard it. According to BEC, the pipe break seemed to be an accident, but they weren't content to settle on any conclusions just yet. But officials say determining the extent of the losses will take some time.
We're doing our investigations to determine the exact quantity and the cost of it to the corporation. It's going to take us probably another day or so to review the numbers and do our reconciliations. And also, once we finish our remediation or recovery effort, we'll know for sure what the loss was.
The good news for consumers is that the breach did not affect power generation, as BEC looks to shore up security surrounding the most crucial aspect of its operation. Keisha Adderley, ZNS Network News.
In other news this Thursday, Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Brandy Roberts slamming opposition Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis's comments on the firing of Renwood Wells as parliamentary secretary this week. Dr. Minnis said the firing should have happened a long time ago and reflects poor leadership of the Prime Minister to act after 3 months. Well, Mr. Roberts responded by saying the record shows that Dr. Minnis was confronted with tough decisions time and time again, both as a former cabinet minister and now as the leader of the opposition. And in each time, in his view, he either failed to make a decision or made the wrong decision. Mr. Roberts believes for 5 years Dr. Minnis failed to make a decision or act as a substantive Minister of Health, where repeated systemic failures, irregularities, risks, and vulnerabilities reportedly plagued the Public Hospitals Authority, costing taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. Mr. Roberts continued that the PHA matter to protect the people's money and the public's interests was a no-brainer, but he asserts Dr. Minnis did not see his way, nor did he care enough to make any decision in the public interest. His deafening silence during that period and in the wake of the audit findings indicate that he was asleep at the wheel, clueless, or just did not care about what was going on under their nose.
Of the news is brought to you by Shell Ultra Low Sulfur Diesel.